Zahid Badroodien, the MEC for Water and Sanitation in the city of Cape Town. Zahid, thank you for making yourself available.
Always, John. Good to be with you.
Okay, so what on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put the seriousness of the immediate water future of the city of Cape Town?
I would put it at a 4, John. At the moment, a 4.
Okay, what makes it a 5, a 6, a 7, 8, a 9?
What doesn't make it that?
What does,
So at the moment, we make that determination by the availability of water, which at the moment is our biggest concern in terms of water use in the city. We make that determination by the water availability from our dams as well. But in addition to that, the assessments being done by the provincial government just last week in an engagement with the Premier, still determining that us here in the city of Cape Town can ensure we have sufficient water going into the winter period with potentially sufficient rain, thus not necessarily putting us in the red zone type space at the moment. So even with the provincial government's own determination, we're still very much in the green space, but with water usage remaining on a very worryingly trend high, something that we are concerned about, but not necessarily putting our water supply at risk just yet.
Because the dams are roughly 60% full, and if we don't get average rainfall, and even though there's not a lot of reliability in the longer-term forecasts, particularly for this part of the country, they are saying at the moment that we will have less than average rainfall.
Yeah.
You were quoted by News 24 on Friday, I think it was, as saying that if we're in trouble on the 1st of November, then we will act. And I read that and thought, if that's what you really said, I'm staggered, because the 1st of November is way too late.
Around the corner,
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's exactly the advice that I had given to the mayor, saying that in terms of our professionals, the experts, the engineers who give us the advice politically, their suggestion is that by 1 November, if nothing changes in the expected rainfalls for that rainy period, which should start in April, if nothing changes, then 1 November, certainly according to them, is the date for restrictions. But in my engagement with our executive... Absolutely. And in my engagements with the executive director this morning, and in my advice to the mayor about 2 weeks ago, I said exactly the same thing, that if we are going to safeguard the remaining water supply, we must make a decision much earlier than November. And so in about June, July, I've said to the mayor that we will bring back another presentation to him where the rainfall pattern becomes clearer, and which will then determine whether or not the city will take decisions to implement restrictions much earlier than November. Because I agree with you, waiting until November is simply something that cannot happen if the scientists and if modeling or climate modeling trends are showing us that this decision must be made much earlier. So I'm in full agreement with you, but obviously guided by the experts, the hydrogeologists and so on in the space that give us the advice politically.
Because you've also, I think you might have put this into one of your statements on water, that the first large-scale water augmentation projects only come to us in 2031. So we have to manage a 5-year period with the water supply that nature gives us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is why we've started the appeal to our residents last year already, late November, saying that we're noticing this trend. We're well above our allocated usage, which is provided to us by DWS, that we know 70% of the water being used in our city at the moment is done within our households, and that if we can reduce water usage in our homes by 10% alone, then we will bring us under the target, which will obviously then prolong our water availability in the dams.
Zahid, what you have been saying since November last year isn't working, because the average daily water use is not going down. It's staying at a level which is significantly higher than the target level. So something else has to be done. I don't know what that something else should be. I mean, your most recent statement talked about water inspectors going to houses, and I don't know how much of a difference that might make.
Yes, and you're 100% correct. Since November, we've sort of been communicating softly, encouraging, motivating our residents to voluntarily reduce their water usage through awareness campaigns, which we've been rolling out across social media, radio platforms, newspapers, and so on. Water inspectors are now the next phase of these engagements. You'll also see us further ramping up our communications as well, making sure that these inspectors are actually targeting big water guzzlers within our municipality, because those targeted interventions will essentially help us over time. But again, as I said, we are able to turn the tide here should we all pull together in the same direction and make.
But we're not going to pull together if all you do is ask us to pull together. That's human nature, Zahid. You know it,
Absolutely.
I know it.
No, I hear you 100%, but also at the same time, in our last discussion together, you know that restrictions are last resort for us in the city. I agree with you. It's not something that we should leave too late to make the call. It's obviously a decision that we make in consultation with DWS and also the experts within the city of Cape Town. But certainly, I believe that because we've done it before in our drought 2017-2018, this trauma of having to go through this again.
Thank you very much, Zahid Badroodien. We must get him on in a couple of weeks' time. Let's just see what happens with usage, and then let's get him on for longer. There are many more questions I wanted to ask. There are questions coming in from listeners. So in a couple of weeks' time, when it is suitable for his diary, we'll get him on for an extended period, maybe for a full 20-25 minutes. He can answer my questions. He can answer your questions.